Let's talk about robo-taxis.
Fun.
This one's a little spicy. So I'm going to have to censor it as we read it a little.
Oh, dear.
Some people are having relations in San Francisco's robo-taxi.
Oh, my gosh. Just wait till you get to your destination.
This is from the San Francisco Standard. As autonomous vehicles become increasingly popular in San Francisco, some riders are wondering just how far they can push the vehicle's limits, especially with no front seat driver or chaperone to discourage them from questionable behavior. The Standard has spoken to 4 separate cruise car riders who said they've had relations in the driverless vehicles in San Francisco over recent months and have had provided ride receipts to show that they did use these vehicles. The Standard was unable to find a source who said that they had relations in the other company, the Waymo company. But the rules and regulations surrounding robotaxis are murky, largely because the industry is so new. Unfortunately, for the debaucherous among us, robotaxi companies currently use pretty extensive camera surveillance inside and outside their cars. Cruise states on its website, "We record video inside of the car for added safety and support." When asked, both Cruise and Waymo sidestepped commenting directly on what is and isn't allowed in their cars.
So somebody was watching you. Just so you know.
But, that's happening. It's gross.
Oh, gracious.
I mean, we all stayed at hotels, but at least they wash the sheets. That's all I'm saying.
Next topic, please.
Let's talk about game modding. Rockstar Games acquires modding team that it previously banned. In 2015, popular Grand Theft Auto 5 mod 5M was banned by Rockstar after the gaming giant alleged that 5M's work contains code designed to facilitate piracy. 8 years later, Rockstar is taking a decidedly different tone and announcing that CFX.RE, the mod team behind 5M, and a similar mod for Red Dead Redemption 2 is now officially a part of Rockstar Games. With no apparent sense of irony, this comes from ARS Technica, by the way, Rockstar said in a Friday blog post announcing the acquisition that it had watched with excitement as Rockstar's creative community had found new ways to expand the possibilities of GTA 5 and Red Dead Redemption 2, particularly through the creation of dedicated roleplay servers. But the statement ignores the distinct lack of excitement Rockstar exhibited when it barred the Rockstar Social Club accounts from many 5M modders and others associated with promoting the project back in 2015. Our policy on such violations of our terms of service are clear, and the individuals involved in its creation have had their Social Club accounts suspended, the company said at the time. I can see this from both angles. On the one hand, you have created something that is 100% your company's intellectual property. You have created it as a form of artwork. Like, this is our story that we're telling. This is our game that you're playing. You're playing it the way that we have created it. But at the same time, I look at things. Our sons right now are addicted to a YouTube streamer named Sundy, 2 S's at the beginning. And most of the videos that he plays with his team are heavily modded versions of Among Us. Like, I knew that there were some mods of Among Us before. We had the Town of Us mod that allowed you to have the different like roles early on before they added some of them to the game initially. So you could be sheriff, you could be all these other things. Then there was the group behind the submerged map that they had created their own. I think it was 5-Up's team created their own underwater map that had like 2 levels, elevators and things. It was really cool. We got to play that a couple times at LTN before it went under. Like these, ironically, but these were really, really neat mods that excited us, it lengthened the life of the game for a lot of people. Because playing the same game over and over again, especially when it's like a community-based game that you're playing every week, it does kind of get old after a while. And so having those mods available, especially like streamers, that became a way to extend the game. And it even influenced the game itself as they're like, all right, we're adding more roles. So they officially added some more roles to the game.
It got ideas from
it got better. I really wish, though, that Innersloth behind Among Us had went and bought the rights or bought the game out for Submerged and added that to their game because it works so well. And that's essentially kind of what Grand Theft Auto is doing here, the Rockstar is doing here for GTA 5, is that they're like, all right, y'all have made some cool things. We're going to buy it now. It's going to be a part of our game. That's a smart move because it's giving you the opportunity to extend this. But like this Sunday, as we were talking about, they've got ridiculous mods on Among Us with it. It changes the whole world. There's several different just bonkers roles or objectives and mini games and all this kind of stuff. Like it's essentially almost its own separate game each time, a different thing.
Yep.
And there's dozens of these that we've seen so far.
Yeah, lots of them.
And that doesn't happen without the base game.
Yeah.
You can't play any of those without having the base game of Among Us. And so it's extending the life of your game, even if it's not exactly how you originally created it. And so modding communities are doing exactly what it says here. They're building their own huge communities based around loving your original game and wanting to do more with it. I don't think that should be necessarily discouraged, especially when it's games that can be so widely community focused.
Right.
It kind of reminds me of back with the NES, Super NES, Nintendo 64, the Game Sharks or the Game Genies, the cheating things. And you put there's a peripheral, like its own little cartridge. You'd stick your cartridge in the top of it and then stick the Game Genie or the Game Shark cartridge into your system. And so it unlocked like all these cheats or options. I remember for GoldenEye, the Game Shark would open up some of the multiplayer maps that you were on. Like they cut off some of the level. So you'd just be in like a circle. It would make it kind of more of a circle for the original level. And so this would allow you to open up the entire map for the levels that you're playing on, which was really cool. Those little cheats make the game so much different. But for those were mainly for in-house. Like that's you.
Right.
And so I could see people be like, well, no, I don't want you to just buy the game and then get a Game Genie and cheat and have invincibility or whatever. You're taking all the art out of the game. But for the community, that's building a fandom around your game already, which I think is something that you would want as a company. So this is the right move, in my opinion, as opposed to what they did in 2015.
Where they were just like,
hey, stop doing that.
Stop doing that. Don't use our stuff. It's our stuff. That'd be like, a very basic way to think of it is like a company that sells an on-the-shelf product for use of this purpose, and you find another use for it. And they're like, no, that's not why I made that. You're not allowed to use that for this other thing.
You buy a toaster and you put a grilled cheese sandwich in it. You're like, hey, I didn't make this for grilled cheese sandwiches. You're banned from using our toaster.
We're all unique and we're going to come up with cool, inventive things.
All right, let's talk about NFTs.
What are those?
NFTs, the non-fungible tokens, the little pictures that people would buy on the internet for hundreds of thousands of dollars just to claim that they owned it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Didn't know that happened. Sorry.
What? You missed that entire thing? Don't you work in the sector? Here, let me pull up Bored Ape Club. That was one of the most popular.
Okay.
Bored
so
Ape
it's
Yacht
like
Club.
some sort of Bitcoin kind of thing.
It's similar. You buy them with Bitcoin. This is what some of them look like. And you buy it and you own that one. You know? It's still online. People could still steal it and do whatever they want with it, but you own it.
That's stupid. Sorry.
Mo and I did a whole week on NFTs, and by the end of the week, we still knew nothing about NFTs other than we don't get it. We don't get why people are doing this. It's
cyber currency.
So this also comes from ARS Technica. It says buyers of Bored Ape NFTs sue after digital apes turn out to be a bad investment. So when Mo and I did the week on NFTs, Bored Ape Yacht Club was like the top. Like this was the one that everyone's like, this, if you're going to get one, this is the one to get, but they're expensive. But there were hundreds of thousands of different brands of NFTs. One of the stupider ones that I remember was just like, it was a bunch of 16-bit sneakers. Just a picture of a 16-bit sneaker with different colors. And that's what yours, you get your own sneaker. Some of them were and a bunch of people got into, a bunch of like big companies got into them. Nickelodeon had gotten into them and were producing NFTs based on their characters, but then they would make like weird ones that were like crossovers between like a SpongeBob and a Hey Arnold character mixed together, and that one was worth, $5,000.
So they're like electronic playing cards.
Kinda.
That would make more sense to me.
But I don't see how, because it's still not a real thing.
Right.
You're not holding on to a real thing.
Yeah.
The Sotheby's auction house has been named as a defendant in a lawsuit filed by the investors who regret buying Bored Ape Yacht Club's NFTs that sold for highly inflated prices during the NFT craze in 2021. Sotheby's auction duped investors in giving the Bored Ape NFTs an air of legitimacy to generate investors' interest and hype around the Bored Ape brand. Class action lawsuit claims the boost of Bored Ape NFT prices provided an auction was rooted in deception. Said the lawsuit filed in the U.S. District Court in the Central District of California. It wasn't revealed at the time of the auction that the buyer was the now disgraced FTX, the lawsuit said, cryptocurrency that massively went under. Sotheby's representations that the undisclosed buyer was a traditional collector had misleadingly created the impression that the market for the Bored Ape Yacht Club NFTs had crossed over to a mainstream audience, the lawsuit claimed. Lawsuit plaintiffs say that harmed investors bought the NFTs with a reasonable expectation of profit from owning them. Sotheby's sold a lot of 101 Bored Ape NFTs for $24.4 million at its Ape In auction in September 2021, well above the pre-auction estimates of $12 million to $18 million. That's the average price. That's an average price of over $241,000 per NFT.
Wow.
But Bored Ape NFTs now sell for a floor price of about $50,000, worth of either cryptocurrency, worth of Ether cryptocurrency, according to CoinGecko data. The amended lawsuit alleges that Bored Ape creator Yuga Labs colluded with the fine arts broker, defendant Sotheby's, to run a deceptive auction.
Wow.
So it was, I think, the tail end of 2021 when we originally did this, or early 2022, talked about it.
I mean, we were desperate to do things. We were all stuck at home.
Well, what screwed everything up with like the digital cryptocurrency junk was the fact that Bitcoin did go crazy at one point. People were mining Bitcoin and it was worth nothing. And then one day, a Bitcoin was worth like $10,000. One day, people who had, a bank of useless 50 Bitcoins that they had their computers mine or whatever for the last 2 years that were worth jack squat. One day they woke up and they were a millionaire all of a sudden. And that got everybody wanting to know where the next, strike of oil was going to be. And so every cryptocurrency that has come out since, it's like we talked about with the TikTok NPCs, how a couple of them were making like $3,000 an hour doing this, and like, okay, well now there's 1 million of them.
No, everybody's gonna
so
do this weird
we
thing.
had Bitcoin go crazy, and now every company and weird celebrities like, well, I've got my own cryptocurrency now. And that's exactly what happened with NFTs as well. NFTs, they had a couple things that like were NFTs that got sold, like the first tweet got sold as an NFT, and so somebody owns that. The Charlie Bit My Finger YouTube video got sold as an NFT, and now that person owns the rights to that. And once those things started coming out...
That's nothing. I own the sky above the church. That's mine. Yeah.
We cut it out. I own a square foot of the moon. I bought that. I got a certificate and everything. When we live on the moon, that square is mine. So don't touch it, please. Thank you. I know the possibility of digital money becoming a mainstream thing is still like like replacing paper money is probably going to happen at some point. These are like the early stages of that. We're going into the future. Star Trek didn't have paper money.
They didn't have any sort of currency.
Right. Well, that's kind of where we're going to eventually, probably not in our lifetime, but I can see the groundwork leading to that, and I can understand it. I've never understood NFTs. It just sounded like Beanie Babies, but worse, because you're not actually holding anything. When the Beanie Baby bubble burst, you at least had some cute little plushies that you could give to your grandchildren.
That grilled cheese sandwich with Jesus's face.
Jesus' face.
You at least have the sandwich.
It's there. And if you got really hungry, you could eat it. But with the NFT, what are you going to do? When they have burst all these Bored Ape Yacht Club people, when it goes to zero, which it's gonna, you're gonna just, well, here you go, son. I'm gonna print this out for you. This is yours. I'm passing down my legacy of this ape wearing a pirate outfit.
That's like
you.
Michael Scott getting the little bits of gravel from the road. When they caught
Stratton Strangler drove by.
Strangler, yeah.
You take these.
Go buy yourself a flying car or something.
Flying car. Oh, Tad, thank you for that resub. I bought Canadian snacks for you to try. What?
Ooh.
You send them our way, we'll try them.
Ooh.
We'll do it. All right. Well, I'm sorry. There is one more little section of this. So that's not all, because one of the key features of NFTs is now completely broken. This comes from TheVerge.com. One of the big promises of NFTs was that the artists who originally made them could get a cut every time the piece was resold. And unfortunately, that is no longer the case. OpenSea, the biggest NFT marketplace still fully enforcing royalty fees, said today that it plans to stop the mandatory collection of resale fees for artists. Starting March 2024, those fees will essentially be tips, an optional percentage of a sale price that sellers can choose to give to the original artist. If the seller doesn't want to hand over any money, that's their choice. The NFT ecosystem has been on a race to the bottom when it comes to fees. As the market for NFTs collapsed, marketplaces have lowered their own trading fees and stopped enforcing royalty fees in order to attract sellers. Blur, which has overtaken OpenSea as the biggest NFT marketplace by trading volume, only enforces a 0.5% fee on most collections, whereas creators typically set their fees at 5 to 10%. OpenSea will stop enforcing royalty fees on all new NFTs starting August 31st. The marketplace will continue enforcing the fees on certain existing collections until March of next year, at which point they'll become optional on all sales. Yeah. So now even one of the coolest features of like, yeah, you're buying this artist's work, but we're still, paying the artist for it is... Because, I mean, the artist could originally sell this, right, for $10.
And then
it blows up.
Yeah,
and they make their $10 and it's over. And then it blows up and it's going for, $50,000, but you're not going to see any of that money. Mm-hmm. And they're like, well, we want to not do that. If it's their art that's making this money, we want to give them a percentage of it anytime it's sold for a higher price. That's doing right by the artist, I feel like. And now they're like, but now no one's buying them. So
you get nothing.
Here's your 0.5%. Let's see here. Preacher Guy says NFT economy. Shake my head. Joshua says, speaking of cryptocurrency, I had a bunch of friends who tried to get me to invest at one point. They're all real quiet right now. Yeah, I think the phrase race to the bottom really sums it up.